Hello, I'm here with the newly elected Student Government Association President, Carolina Hernandez Ruiz. Carolina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Well, as Ella said, my name is Caroline. My name is Carolina, but people usually call me Caroline. I'm an international student from Spain. I'm a junior currently at Central, major in both neuroscience and finance. On campus, I work as an inclusion assistant in the Athletic Residential Hall, Chilani Hall. And pretty much through my time in Central, I have been very involved on campus since my freshman year. I'm a first generation college student, so when I first arrived on campus, one of my main goals was to take advantage of all the opportunities available at Central. So when I first arrived here, I wanted to be very involved to get as much opportunities as I can, and also to help other students also in their journey as well. So, yeah.
Wow. So you said you're from Spain. What was that transition like from coming from Spain to Central?
Well, that's a good question. So I first came here as an exchange student during high school. So I finished my senior year of high school here with a host family near Grand Rapids. And after that, because I was a senior in high school, I decided to apply to college. So I decided to do it here, and a lot of my host family, came to Central, so I knew a little bit about it. So I decided to apply, and then I was accepted at CMU. So the transition period, I have been here for 4 years. So I'm kind of used to it now, but I'll definitely say the culture is very different between Spain and the US. I'm also from Madrid, so I'm from the capital. So going from a big city, moving to Mount Pleasant is very different. I will say everything has like advantages and disadvantages. I like that CMU is more calm. And it's a school that is not too big, but it's not too small, in which you can always meet new people every day, right? But you can also see familiar faces around campus. So far, it has been a great experience. Definitely, English has been a challenge when I first coming here, but now I'm better at it. Like, I do everything in English, so it's just like I'm used to. But of course, you probably notice my accent a little bit. But besides that, it has been a pleasant experience, and I'm grateful for all the opportunities I have at Central.
Yeah, that's very cool that you were able to take your high school internship, high school exchange into a college exchange year.
Yes.
So what has some of your experience been like that has brought you to SGA, and what have you done on SGA so far?
That's a good question. So when I said before, when I first came here, I wanted to be very involved. So I am also part of the honors program. So when I first arrived honors, it was a great experience. But again, I saw, not in honors, but also in the university overall, a lot of things that could be improved for future. So that's why I decided to be involved in leadership positions on campus. So I joined SGA. I'm also joined the Honors Council as well as Academic Senate. So in those committees and those clubs, I wanted to represent other students who are also from minorities or who doesn't feel heard in CMU, because I know it can be kind of challenges and daunting just to come on campus. I don't know who to talk to, where to go. So I use my experience to be a guide for other people who were kind of lost as well. So I decided to join SGA. I first was just in Senate, and then this year I got the position as International Student Service Liaison, which is a position that it has been implemented this year for the first time ever. And the position was meant to represent the international community, because we are a big population on campus, but we weren't represented because the international students are a very vulnerable and a small community, right? We come from all around the world, but we are not US citizens. So that limits our opportunities and experiences because, legally and for multiple reasons as well. So for instance, we kind of work outside campus, right? So like many students who struggle with those things, like if you don't work on campus, you cannot have a source of income. So there's a lot of those things a lot of students don't know about, which I don't blame them, because honestly, if I wasn't an international student, I wouldn't know either. So I had that position, and with that position, I brought more awareness about within the international community, and I met with a lot of different organizations on campus to talk about what issues they were going through, and then I use those issues and kind of advocate for them, working with SGA this year. So yeah, overall, I wanted to use so much experiences that I had on campus kind of to improve and to leave CMU a better place than I found it, right?
That's very impressive.
Thank you.
So going forward, can you talk to me a little bit about what your agenda looks like and what you want to do in the next year?
Yes, so SGA is it's a great tool on campus for all these students. And I feel like many students don't know the power SGA has, right? SGA is run for students for the students. And for someone who doesn't know SGA, it's pretty much like a small representation of the government, right? You have House, you have Senate, you have General Board, and I think SGA is a great tool because every Monday we have meetings from 7 to 9 in which most of the RSOs are obligated to go to the meetings. So that's a great opportunity to do collaboration between RSOs, right? We have a representative from each organization on campus. That's a great tool to, create collaboration on campus and also to bring awareness about issues that happened. So for next year, there's a lot of things that we want to implement. One of them, of course, reflecting on the issues that happened this week, trying to move forward and implementing DEI training for all RSOs and all students on campus, as well as administration. I work as an inclusion assistant, as I mentioned before, and I know the importance of inclusivity and making everyone feel welcome and respected on campus, right? So we want to implement DEI training to everyone and kind of educate them in those topics. And we also want to implement transparency within SGA. I know that in the past, many people have felt frustrated, me, myself included, with a lot of things, the communication between SGA and the students, as well as administration and the students. So we want to make everything very clear and transparent and communicate with the students. I'm a true believer that people will tell you what they don't like if you give them the opportunity to express themselves, right? So students, everyone has their voice. I know all voices are very important to listen to because everyone has something to, give to others. So one thing we want to do is collect weekly feedback from the students, literally asking them, what do you want? Many times this university take action and make decisions without asking anyone, just because they think, oh, this is gonna be better for the student body. Have you asked the students? Have you actually sent a survey to them? No. So we want to do those things, right, to actually get feedback from the students themselves. And another thing we want to implement is more legislation. I have been in SGA for 3 years, and honestly, there haven't been a lot of legislation, and I don't think students really understand the power of writing legislation. Legislation is just creating a document, and if it's approved by Senate and House, that is a legal document that you can take to administration, and administration has to look through the document and then approve it. And if the administration approve it, they implement this new policy on campus, right? So students literally have their power in their hands. But again, I feel like it's the lack of awareness and knowledge that students don't know about this, right? So I want to create more legislation as well collaboration between RSOs, and also I know that a lot of students on campus struggle with reserving spaces on campus for their events, which it is kind of like ironic because if you're putting on an event on campus is to improve the community and share your experience on campus, and students really struggle to host those kind of events. So I want to improve the communication between administration and make that process easier, as well as just kind of like welcoming everyone and learning from everyone, if that makes sense. Like, I want SGA to feel a place in which students can express themselves, in which you can collaborate with others, and in which everyone can become a leader, right? One of our slogans for our campaign was leaders of today, change makers of tomorrow. Being in the university is like a small representation of how the real world works. So again, it's very important to be involved in college because after this, you're gonna be in the real world, and that experience is what like builds you, right? Like for instance, right now, doing this interview, when you graduate, you're probably gonna do this in real life, and you know what I mean? So things like that. So we want to awake the leader that everyone has inside of them, you know what I mean? And like to use your voice and to advocate for others.
Wow, you touched on a lot of subjects there. So I guess my question is, there's a general board of regents here at CMU. What power do you guys have as SGA, as like the student board, to actually do stuff? Okay, so the SGA works with administration, right? So the good thing about SGA is like every organization on campus have their leadership positions, whatever it may be, but then all of them can come to SGA. So SGA has two different types of power. It can help students because we have ASBAC. So ASBAC is a committee that has money literally to give out to the RSOs for their events, right? So if your RSO goes to the SGA meetings, they can request money, and we can give you money to fund your events, to go to a conference in New York, whatever it may be, right? So that's the power that SGA has, like actually supporting your RSO directly. And again, if you or a group of people or an RSO, whatever it may be, write a legislation and you present that in House and Senate, and if it's approved, then that can move up the ladder and go to like me, and then go to administration themselves. And then if that's approved, it's actually implemented, right? So again, SGA is literally a tool for students to actually make change and improve the community, because this is where we study at, right? We want to use all the resources available, and that's what SGA gives to the students, if that makes sense. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. A little bit earlier, you talked about all the discrimination issues that have been happening on campus the past few days. What is your take on that, and what can you do, and what do you think the university should be doing differently?
Yeah, I think that